recorded my whole intro and did not record me, my intro, like my microphone, but whatever. We're catching back up. It's your girl, Deja D. Welcome to episode 8 of my podcast, season 2. Let me tell you something, Postgrad Diaries. If you're liking the look, like I was saying before the microphone, or I realized the microphone wasn't even recording, is that if you follow me on my Instagram at Deja D, you'll know that I'm getting back into my makeup thing. So look forward to all the rest of these looks. Well, I can't promise, but majority of the next upcoming videos, hopefully I'll be doing more funky, fun looks, and I'll have videos on my main Instagram to go with the looks. But nonetheless, what's up? Welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited for today's episode. I feel like it's super like in your face. Like you could choose to ignore what I'm saying if you want to, but this one I feel like I'm talking my some episodes I feel like I'm really popping my shit. So this is one of them. And if you have not seen my last episode 7, I was like sick and I missed some days, so we're catching back up this weekend. You're getting like a double episode this week because episode 7 dropped Saturday instead of Monday. I wanted to just catch up and I wanted to make sure I hit this Monday, but I missed some and I didn't want it to be pushed back. So boom, this is Monday, 6 p.m. that you're all listening to episode 8, but make sure you all catch up and watch episode 7. It's called I'm in Love, I'm Obsessed, and I don't feel bad about it. So if you missed it, I will have it linked. I have a playlist on YouTube, but you all can check it out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're listening in, just make sure you're listening and check back on episode 7. All right, so cool. Make sure you're following Deja's Daily Dose on everything. Make sure you're following me, Deja D. We're going to wrap this intro up. It's been long. So let's get into today's episode, because let me tell you something. My peace is more important than your opinion on me. And I'm going to say that again for the niggas in the back that acting like they didn't hear me. My peace is more important than your opinion on me. Period. And that's something I had to teach myself. It required so much self-discipline, but it's really important for you as you're growing up. And as you know, we talk about postgrad diaries and things that we are learning as we're going through adulthood. You have to recognize that your peace is more important than what other people think of you. Do you ever, and excuse me if I'm looking down, but have you ever been talking to somebody and you feel like you're just talking to a wall? Now, before I get too deep and lose some people, the haterades, I don't think nobody is watching the radar, but I want to make sure something's clear. When I mean talking to a wall, or before I get into the episode of, am I talking to a wall? I don't need people to be like, Deja, well, you're not always right. And what if people don't agree with you and blah, blah, blah. I do not think that I am always right. I, Deja Angel Dotson, do not think that I am a God. I do not think that I know it all. I do not think that it's my way or the highway. I know it might come across that way because I'm very firm and standing and very confident in who I am and what I'm saying and everything. And people need to understand, and this is not even written down, it's just coming to the top of my head, as far as just people try to put this stigma on Black women and Black girls that if you're assertive and you know what you want, that you're aggressive and you're a bitch and you're a know-it-all and X, Y, and Z. We need to cut that out, because I'm confident in decisions that I make and confident in myself. I don't think I know it all. I'm very open to hearing other things. I'm very open to understanding other people. I'm very open to recognizing, you know what? I didn't intentionally try to hurt you. I didn't do this on purpose. But if it hurt your feelings, I can apologize. I'm not even going to say if I hurt your feelings, or I hurt your feelings, so I apologize, period. So yeah, wanted to get that out of the way as far as before we even get in this topic of oh, Deja, you think you know it all? No, I don't think I know it all. However, in order for relationships to work out, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's family, whether it's cousins, whether it's neighbors, whether it's coworkers, any type of relationship where there are 2 or more parties involved requires for people to be receptive enough to hear what they have done and hurt you in things that they can improve on, and not be stuck in their ways and their egos to not acknowledge what happened, or not be willing to put their pride on the side to say, you know what, if I offended you, I'm sorry. Or you know what, I didn't think of it like this. Or I can be accepting to your perceptive or perception. Or if you're giving me advice, I should be open enough to, if we're having like any type of relationship, like I said, familial, romantic, anything, you don't have to take advice people are giving you, but you have to be open enough to let people be able to give you advice and you hear it and don't shut yourself down like you're talking to a wall. I never understood how people could hurt you and then act like they didn't. Like, how are you going to tell me that you didn't hurt me? How are you going to tell me that that didn't happen? I haven't been to therapy in a minute, but I know that one of the things that we talked about during my healing journey and during, my, time right after I graduated college, and I was, the main part of this damn podcast, Postgrad Diaries, things I learned when I first graduated, was just how I used to kind of like push my feelings to the side. And y'all probably heard me say that before, but I used to just be really dismissive on just like things that happen and pushing my feelings to the side. And, like it's whatever. Like I used to always be like a it's whatever kind of person when it really wasn't whatever. I just was saying that. But I used to be like, oh, it's whatever person, whatever, and put my feelings to the side. And for example, the main thing that I could really just use as an example, because one of the main things that was very needing to be healed from and still does is the situation with my parents, is because I was willing to put my feelings to the side as far as the whole situation that went down when I moved out. I put all of that to the side. I was just kind of like, I'm just going to like not look for an apology. I'm just not going to like bring it up, as far as with them. I think I could push past and push that to the side for the sake of me trying to build a relationship with them. I'm not going to bring up, anything that happened. And, I'm not going to acknowledge the fact that you all hurt me. And I've done it with friends. You all betrayed me, but for the sake of me not wanting to be lonely and hanging out by myself, I'm going to push my feelings to the side. And the thing with pushing your feelings to the side is that they aren't really gone. They're just to the side. However, when things are not addressed and are not acknowledged and people do not take accountability for their behaviors, they repeat themselves. And they repeat themselves. And the only person that ends up being hurt is you. And in this case, or, in my circumstance, me. When you're talking to someone who truly cares about, your feelings and your values, and just, when you're talking to someone who truly cares about your feelings and they value y'all's relationship, they're willing to hear you out and acknowledge and, say like, you know what, I didn't mean to hurt you. Or like, I did hurt you out of like anger. I did hurt you out of this, or, whatever the case may be. I did some fuck shit. I was talking about you. I was doing whatever. And certain stuff is like unforgivable, or just one of those things. It's like you forgive, but it's like you take a step back and set a boundary to the relationship. But being open enough to say, you know what, I did fuck up. I did hurt you. I care about you enough to acknowledge that. I care about that enough to not dismiss your feelings. I care about that enough to not say, you know what, that didn't happen when it did. And that just goes to show like people who really value the friendship. I have friends that have said things that have been hurtful to me. And yes, it shifts the relationship, but they right their wrongs. I've had friends that said things to me that put a shift in the relationship, but they have came back and truly apologized and said, hey, I'm sorry that I wasn't supportive when you told me, this, or I didn't mean to push my negative, experiences onto you. And I apologize for that. And with changed behavior, we moved forward. In my own personal romantic relationship, we have conflict and we disagree. We're two different people. We have two different perceptions on life. I do things, we're from two different places. So the things that I do that are like a norm, or I might have lingo that's like and where I'm from, me and my friends, we say this, or I didn't look at that as a bad thing. But if you come to me and it's like, I didn't like that you said that, or this hurt my feelings in X, Y, and Z, I care about the relationship and vice versa enough for, us both to be like, you know what? I didn't intentionally mean to hurt you. I apologize if I did. So I'm not going to tell you that it didn't hurt you, or like, fuck that, you're being sensitive, because you cannot tell somebody when you hurt them. Like, if you tell me you hurt me, if you tell me I hurt you, like she was being kind of up when you said that, I can't tell you that I wasn't. Even if I know that wasn't my intention, I care about you enough to say, you know what? I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. Point blank, period. And the thing also about when people say sorry, or like if somebody tells you they hurt your feelings, just because you apologize does not give you the right to say you could do it again. Change behavior also has to be backed up behind the apology. It's like, girl, I'm sorry I slapped you. But if you slap me again, like, you think you could just keep saying sorry and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it? No. I'm sorry that I said this, or I'm sorry that I spared this secret, or something that you said was personal. I told somebody else. I'm sorry for that. And you go ahead and do it again. Are you crazy? I had to stop talking to people who made me feel like I was talking to a wall. I'm at a point in my life, and I'm not always here, but I'm really at a point in my life where if I have to write a 10-page paper explaining to you on why you did something to me that hurt my feelings, and scream back and forth on how you did me wrong, and I do not want to deal with that relationship. I don't. I cannot and I will not lose my peace of mind and bring myself down to that level. I've done it and I literally went crazy. Like, I'm not trying to sit here on my phone and, girl, you had me so messed up when you did X. I'm just writing a whole paragraph, and then you're coming back on me and you're so heated that you can't even acknowledge what I'm saying. And then half the time the stuff gets lost in translation, and then you're in your feelings and then I'm in my feelings, and we didn't texted all day, or we didn't picked up the phone and we're yelling at each other, and you're not receptive to what I'm saying, or you think I'm coming for you, or you just cannot acknowledge that you did something wrong. I'm way past that point. And I want to say something that some people watching may feel like is offensive, but do you ever feel like you're too good for certain shit? Like, do you ever feel like you're too good for certain people? Like, I felt like I've argued with people previously, and like by previously, I mean like the last few years of my life before I stepped into this current chapter. And I was like, you know what? This is dumb. And I feel like I'm talking to a wall. Like, I'm too good to be treated like this. Why do I have to fight and tell you that you cannot treat me like this? I shouldn't have to explain to a 44-year-old man and a 42-year-old woman why you should support your daughter going to court. I shouldn't have to tell 22-year-olds why you shouldn't exclude your friends from a group chat. I don't need to tell a 69-year-old woman why she shouldn't roll her eyes at you when you're at your sibling's prom send-off. I do not need to tell a 27-year-old mother, do not DM me on every social media platform talking trash. Like, that's dumb. I'm not gonna lie. I used to do the back and forth. I used to go back and forth. I used to do it because that is what I was used to. That was the environment that I was in. That was what people around me did. That is what I knew. I could still go back and forth. I could still do it. Like, it's not a problem. Like, if I want to argue, I can argue. I gotta come back for it. Or I know how to defend myself verbally, and physically, but I know how to verbally defend myself and prove a point. But this is not the debate team. This is not lawyer. This is not we're going to court. This is not none of that. And I just don't want to live like that no more. This episode is super quick, super short, super straight to the point. And I say all of that to say, and everything that I say is, with this chapter of my life, and when we talk about post-grad diaries, this season of the podcast, and navigating life through your early 20s and growing into the woman or the man or the person that you want to be, stop talking to walls. Stop forcing relationships. Stop dumbing yourself down because right is right and wrong is wrong. How is it that we are taught to treat people the way you want to be treated by the same people who do not even reciprocate the same energy to you? And everybody might not have negative relationships when it comes to their families, but that same energy applies to friendships, co-workers, neighbors, anyone who you feel like is pushing your buttons. We aren't perfect people. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to do things unintentionally. Like I, said earlier in the podcast, you have disagreements with people because we're different. Like if I was being, whatever about my partner and I, you're from Chicago, I'm from the DMV, two very bold, two very different places. We have different personalities. We're both fire signs, Leos, women. We're going to have disagreements. We're going to have times where it's like, you're in your feelings, I'm in my feelings, whatever the case may be. But the moral of the story is, like I said in my last episode, all relationships require a certain level of maturity for both of you all to acknowledge that you could be wrong. As we're growing up, as we're, growing and we're navigating life and we're, having relationships among friends and families and whatever, and we're adults and they're adult, mature relationships, you have to be mature enough to open you have to be mature enough to say, you know what, I was wrong in this situation, no matter who it is or no matter what it is. You have to be mature enough to say, you know what, I hurt this person's feelings. Let me get out my fucking bag. Let me get out of my ego and acknowledge that I did this. And I can say, you know what, I was wrong. I did it out of anger. I did it intentionally. I did it unintentionally. You can tell people when you hurt them. And if you can't be receptive to that, you're talking to a wall. And I don't have time to play divorce court. I don't have time to play family court. I'm tired of the arguing back and forth. I'm not talking to the wall. If I'm wrong, if I hurt your feelings, I can apologize. However, when the tables are turned and you hurt my feelings and you need to apologize to me, you have to be able to reciprocate the same energy. And if people aren't open to, hearing those types of things, then you have to kind of like put a hold in the relationship, because it needs boundaries at that point. It needs boundaries need to be set, because clearly that person does not care about or value the relationship in the same way that you do. And sometimes it's simply just, it's sad sometimes, but it's honest. And some people lack things in their character. Once I see how you move, I don't need to see it again. Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, I can't put the blame on you, because I knew what you were capable of the first time. And once I see it, I'm good. I don't need to touch a hot stove if once I see that it says hot. You did that to Susie, I'm gonna think you'll do it to me, and I could wave at you. We don't got no beef, but I don't need to find out. I don't need to see it done again. Not to me. That's unnecessary. But let me tell you something. Choose your peace always. Your peace is more important than people's opinion. If someone told you something bad about me and you choose to believe it, I don't care. Believe it. Because you don't care about me. People who do not like you do not need a reason to not like you. You don't need to go on a campaign trying to convince them to like you. You're not running from office. I don't need anybody's vote. This is not the Grammys or the People's Choice Award. I'm fine. Those scoop full of people that don't like you, they could continue to not like you. And shoot, half of the times, 10 times out of 10, I probably stop liking you first. And that's the reason why you don't like me. All shade, no tea. You just don't like me because you found out that I don't like you, or the way I'm treating you because I'm pulling back or whatever. So I cannot lose my peace trying to convince people that what they did was wrong. I cannot, and I won't. I won't yell at you. I won't sit there and type, long paragraphs. No more. I won't allow for that to happen again. It's not worth it. Life moves on, and I will not have no wrinkles and lose my sleep and lose my belly ring again for that. If you know, you know. Because remember when I was, or if you've watched my vlogs or anything, when I graduated and I was stressed and I was crying and I was depressed and everything, my belly ring rejected and I got her back in. We ready for the summer. I'm not doing that again. We're not losing her again over no stress, over no people. That's gonna happen. ASMR. No, ma'am. But yeah. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. It's your girl, Deja D. Make sure you're following us on everything, Deja's Daily Dose. I will see you all next Monday at 6 p.m. Right here, wherever you're tuned in. If you're watching us on YouTube and you want to switch over to Spotify, I'll see you there. If you're listening on Spotify, you want to cancel your subscription and go to Apple Podcasts, well, I'll see you over there. And if you're wanting to see the looks, I'll keep seeing you on YouTube. Bye.